And we'll start with the first two components that make up the system. One of it is the 7-inch high definition display that's going to be mounted inside of the car in whatever location we want. The second component is the rear camera, and this is also high definition and again can be installed in the location of your choice. Now this system is just a single camera system, but you could get the exact same thing in a 2-camera setup if you wanted to see the front and the rear of the vehicle, and you can also get it in a 4-camera setup if you wanted to monitor the front, the rear, the left, and the right side of the vehicle. But how do we power up the display? Well, they include the cigarette lighter adapter plug with a on-off switch right here if you wanted to turn it on and off, but you could also hardwire it to the car permanently using the included cable. And they have included 2 ways of mounting this display, one of it being this suction cup mount. And I love suction cup mounts because they're not permanent. I don't have to drill or cut into anything. I can simply stick this to my windshield and then mount the display to the mount. Now the mount itself does have the ability to swivel and tilt and turn, so I can point and aim the screen so I can see it clearly. But if you're looking for a more permanent installation, they did include a second mount that could be screwed down permanently on the dash, permanently on the roof, whatever you want, and also has the same swivel capability so we can aim the screen and have a good view of it. And the rear camera has a single cable that comes out the back to power up, and again we're going to use the included cable to tap into the power of our reversing tail lights. So every time we put the car into reverse, the system is going to come alive. Also notice what's pretty interesting on this camera. This camera is waterproof and the entire case, everything is metal. So this is as heavy duty as it gets. It has quite a bit of a weight to it and is surrounded on both the left and the right side with infrared LEDs. So this will provide real true night vision. It will light up the road at night even if it's in pitch black darkness. Now the camera can also tilt up and down, and then we can lock it in place so we have that good view that we desire. There is a little hood here to keep any glare from the sun to the minimum, and they included a second bracket if we wanted to get a little bit more height when mounting the camera. And to mount the rear camera, they have included screws if you like to permanently mount this to your vehicle, but my favorite way is using the included double-sided tape. And this is not any regular double-sided tape. This is 3M very high adhesion tape, which is normally used in the automotive industry whenever you have to place things in a vehicle and you don't want them to come off. And the tape is simply going to be attached to the bottom of the camera. I'm going to peel that and then stick this to the location of my choice. But what about the wireless range of the system? Well, the system is rated at 66 feet of distance, so that's 20 meters that distance can be apart with a vehicle in between, and we should have a clear signal. And the antenna is going to mount in the top of the monitor, and another antenna is going to mount to the back of the camera. Well, not only did they include the regular antenna, they have included an extension antenna. So this antenna can connect to the screen or to the rear camera, and this has a magnetic base. So we can run this up to a place where we have a good signal and then it magnetically sticks to whatever we want. And it also has 3M high adhesion tape. If the place that we're gonna put it in is not magnetic, we can simply peel the adhesive and then stick that in the location of our choice. And they also included this little hood that mounts directly on the front of this monitor, and that's again to reduce any kind of potential glare that you may get from the sun, and we can have good visibility of the video that's being displayed. So now that we saw the main components that make up the system, let's take it outside and get it all connected so we can see how well it actually performs. And this is the Veclesus BMW 7, and as you can see, it comes on right away. Now I have it hooked up so it stays on all the time, but it could be hooked up so it only kicks on when the reversing tail lights of the car come on, which is when you're backing up. But let's do some backing up and see what that looks like. That is really cool. Now this vehicle is not equipped with the reversing camera, so it is extremely helpful to see a high resolution display showing us what is going on behind the car. Now this is probably the crispiest, high resolution, totally wireless backup camera that I think I've seen so far. And this has parking guidance assistance, and that is done by turning on the parking guidelines. Now these guidelines are showing us where we are in relation to the sidewalk. Now where those lines fall in is going to depend on where you place the camera and obviously the type of your car. So what I usually recommend is to have somebody outside tell you and confirm, yeah, when you're at the yellow, you're okay, or when you're at the red, you are too close. So then you know where those lines fall in real life. I'm gonna turn those off. But what happens if you decide to flip the camera upside down? If for some reason you wanted to install the camera upside down, you would need to be able to flip the display, and you definitely can do it. And you can turn it again, and you can turn it one more time. Now what we did right now, we flipped it. So now what's on the right hand side is on the left hand side. Again, if for some reason you were to put this camera in the front, this is the way it should be placed. But because this camera is on the rear, it has to show this way. So now the left is on the real left and the right is on the real right. And we can further fine tune the display by going into the menu. We're able to adjust the brightness. If you think it's too bright at night, you can definitely bring that down. You can adjust the contrast of it, and you can also adjust the color of it. But let's do a little bit of more backing up. All right. It amazes me how far we come down in technology. This is really fluid. The frame rate on this is pretty high, where, I mean, it just doesn't get better than this, than being in the back of the car. So I could definitely see this as being a must-have solution if you have a very large vehicle and you want to have good visibility of what's behind you. And here's the Veclesus BMW7 at night. Now this is a combination of infrared light that's coming out from the back of the camera and also some ambient lighting. And as you can see now, it got really bright, and that's because the reversing tail lights of the car came on. But you can see how it almost looks like we had a big spotlight, and that is the advantage of this camera, is being extra sensitive to light, that any small amount of light can be enough for us to see great amount of detail. And obviously having the real night vision does help, because if this street was complete pitch black darkness, we could still back up and have good visibility of what we're seeing. So that is pretty cool. So overall, a pretty impressive wireless system that requires minimal setup. I like how fast it turns on. As soon as I click the button, it is connected, it is ready to go. I also really like the high resolution screen and the fact that it is quite large, especially because my eyes are not what they used to be, so having a large screen definitely helps. The fact that they included those two mounts, so I have flexibility of whether I want to move it in the windshield with the suction cup mount, or whether I want to mount it permanently somewhere on my dash. I think that's a great idea. So if you guys have any questions regarding the Veclesus BMW7 system, please put that in the comments down below. Remember, I placed a link down there if you want to look at this system further, or the one that has additional cameras. If you found any part of this video helpful, please hit the thumbs up button to support the channel, and stay tuned as I have a lot more cool gadgets coming up, including dashcam reviews. So thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.